What if the world you think you know isn't the world that actually exists? What if the most powerful forces in history don't change geography, but change the words we use to describe it? Because once a name changes, something deeper changes with it: memory, perspective, identity, and eventually reality itself. You've said it before, the Middle East, but ask yourself, middle of what? East of where? That term only makes sense if the center of the world is assumed to be Europe. Not geography, perspective, and perspective in is power. There's a concept in linguistics called linguistic relativity. It suggests language doesn't just describe reality, it shapes how reality is perceived. The philosopher Michel Foucault pushed this further. Power doesn't only operate through laws or armies, it operates through knowledge, through classification, through the categories we accept as normal. So the question becomes, who gets to define the categories? Because once a category is accepted, everything inside it starts to look the same. Take the Persian Gulf, a name used for over 2,500 years, across empires, across languages, across centuries, a continuous identity embedded in history itself. Now imagine that name being replaced. Not because geography changed, but because political interest did. When that happens, it's not just a rename, it's a reframe. This doesn't stop at maps. It moves into universities, where knowledge gets organized and civilizations get classified. Persian studies becomes absorbed into Middle Eastern studies, or Near Eastern studies. On paper, it looks efficient, but something is lost. Because Persian civilization isn't a vague regional concept, it is a continuous historical identity, ancient empires, distinct language traditions, pre-Islamic cultural systems, unique intellectual history. When this becomes part of a larger umbrella category, specificity dissolves. And once specificity dissolves, comparison replaces understanding. The theorist Antonio Gramsci called this cultural hegemony, not control through force, but control through normality, through what people stop questioning. Walk into the Louvre Museum. You'll see ancient civilizations displayed under broad categories like Islamic art. Now again, this isn't false, but it is incomplete. Because under that label, thousands of years of pre-Islamic civilization are often visually and intellectually compressed. Persian empires, Mesopotamian traditions, all folded into a single interpretive frame. This is where something subtle emerges. Not destruction, not censorship, but erosion. A slow replacement of precise language with simplified categories. Specific becomes general. History becomes theme. Identity becomes region. And over time, what was once distinct becomes indistinguishable. This is not always intentional, but it is systematic, because systems favor simplicity, and simplicity often erases detail. Now the effect becomes psychological. When people hear Middle East, they don't think in centuries. They think in headlines: conflict, instability, crisis. Not poetry, not philosophy, not ancient science, not civilizations that shaped global knowledge. This is how perception forms. Not through one moment, but through repetition, through naming, through reinforcement. And once perception stabilizes, it begins to feel like truth. The map didn't move, the land didn't change, the people didn't disappear, only the language shifted. But sometimes that is enough, because if you can rename a place, you can reposition it. So the question is not just, what do we call the world? The question is, who taught us to call it that? And what else did they decide we should forget? Because in the end, history is not only written by those who conquer land, it is also written by those who control the dictionary.